हेलो स्टूडेंट, वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू। गुड मॉर्निंग। ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म विश्वास स्कूल भुन्ना में आपका स्वागत है। स्टूडेंट, 8th क्लास का सेकंड लेसन जियोग्राफी हिस्ट्री का हमने स्टार्ट किया है। लास्ट वीडियो में हमने देखा था देर आर so many other European company rather than East India Company come to India before the establishment of the administration or the government of the British East India Company. Before the British, the Dutch was come in India, the French and other European traders come to India, and all of the European companies want to trade relation with India and extend their trade. So the British also come after the Portuguese, after the Dutch. Sir Francis Drake, a British navigator, undertook voyage around the world in 1579. The Francis Drake, the British navigator mean who has traveling in the sea route, traveling through the sea route, undertook voyages around the world. All over the world he travel in 1579. The completion of his voyages mean their traveling, and the victory of the England over the Spanish Armada in 1588. The English have victory over the Spanish navigator or the Spanish army, encouraged the people of England to undertake voyages to the eastern world, and this victory encouraged people of the England to undertake all the eastern world, and the trade of all trade route of the sea route has also undertaken the British empires. The English Queen Elizabeth I also encouraged many seafarer like James Lancaster, John Mildenhall, Captain Raymond to go to India. And Queen Elizabeth come to India, James Lancaster, John Mildenhall and the Captain Raymond, all the official of the East India Company or the English come to India. On 31st of the December 1600, Queen Elizabeth guaranteed the East India Company a royal charter, giving it the sole right to the trade with East. And the Elizabeth has given the right to East India Company and giving the charter to the trade with all over the East. A royal charter clearly means that no other trading groups in England could now compete with the East India Company. The charter was royal because the Elizabeth, Queen of the England, had given the right. So the royal Queens of the Elizabeth give the order. Clearly mean that no other trader group in England could be compete with East India Company. East India Company is a solo power to trade with the East. The company now had the right to undertake voyages to new and unknown market from where it could buy goods at a cheaper price and sell them back into the Europe at a higher price. So the company undertake the voyages new unknown way, the area where they come we are going to trade with the East, not now about the area or the market, but it could give goods, buy the goods at cheaper rate and sell them in the Europe on higher prices. The East India Company undertook its early voyages to Sumatra, Java, Moluccas. In the early time of the East India Company, they undertook all the voyages to Sumatra, Java, and Moluccas. In 1608, it made its first attempt to establish factories in India. 1608, they tried to establish factory in India first time. In 1613, the Mughal Emperor Jahangir issued a farman permitting the English to establish a factory permanently at Surat. So 1613, the year when the Mughal Emperor Jahangir gave the permission to East India Company to set up a factory at the Surat at first time. Thus, the first factory in the East India Company was established at Surat. So, Surat has become the first East India Company's factory. Simultaneously, similarly, other factories were established in Madras, Bombay, and Kolkata. The three other places where the British has started the company at the simultaneously with the Surat factories. Now, the French in India. The French company named companies Des Indias, Des Indes Orientals, Des Indes Orientals companies was found in 1664. After the British, the French come to India and they made a company named Des Indias Orientation Company in 1664. The first French factory was established in India by Francisco Caron at Surat in 1668. The French also started a factory at Surat in 1668. Further factories were established in Musulipattam, Pondicherry, Mahe, Chandanagar, Karikal, Belasore, Surat, and Mauritius. These are the other factories set up by the French in India and other countries. The assemblies of Portuguese, British, Dutch, and the French factories in India and the Eastern Island resulted in fierce competition and rivalries among them. All the European traders, European companies have set up the factory at India, including Portuguese, Dutch, British, and French. So India become a rivalry of these companies, rivalries and competition of these companies, because all the companies compete with each other and try to extend their sphere of trade, and other company are less trade by the East India Company. So the competition become healthy. All of them wanted to excel the trade by earning maximum profit. All the traders want to profit maximization. This led to rise in the cost of the commodities that were in a great demand and ultimately reduce the profit. They lead a rise in the cost of the commodities. If the competition rise, the commodities price cost are rise and demand was great, demand was extended, but the profit was reduced. If the demand is high, price is rise, then profit is reduced. Spices like cloves, cardamom, pepper, cinnamon, and fine quality of silk and cotton were the main objective of the trade. These things are the main objective of the trade. In the first phase of the establishment of the company in India. To prevent each other from the profitable trade, these companies engaged in constant conflict. So the conflict were made between all the companies. They are cruel to each other. They also raised arm against the local rulers if they oppose the establishment of their factory. So all the companies have extend their arms if the ruler, local people or local administrator oppose the trade or the factory. Thus the policies, politics and trade become inseparable. It means policy and trade become the collaboration. Separation is the become the policy and trades. So these are the two bases of French and East India Company's establishment in India. So today we have done about the French East India Company and the British East India Company, how they come to India and establish their settlement. So the India become the rivalry of the European companies, the place of the rivalry of the European companies. And in next video we study about the Anglo-French rivalry in the India and how they have all the companies took forward their policies, their trade, and who will win the competition. In the next video, thank you. Have a nice day.